Have you ever run 13 miles without even stopping for water because you knew if you stopped for water, that meant that you couldn't actually say you ran the entirety of the race? Now, that sounds incredibly stupid, and you'd be right. But there's probably some small percentage of it, you guys out there nodding your head sheepishly because you've been in that boat. You've thought those things. Well, that girl not stopping for water was me 15 years ago, and I'd like to say I was better when I ran my first marathon, but to be honest, I was not at all. If there was an aid station that I knew I was going to have to walk through to grab water, I would just keep on running. It was not worth it to me to stop. And if the next aid station I'd have to walk to, I'd just skip water there too. I just kept on running. And it really doesn't make sense why someone would do that. It seems like that is a worse decision than just stopping for a minute to grab the water and drink it. Like that would set you up for more success than running through aid stations so you can run the entire race. But that's the thing about perfectionism. Perfectionism will make you do all kinds of super irrational things because in your mind, how to do things perfectly honestly, most of the time doesn't even make sense. So fast forward to now, and I actually recently picked running back up again after taking more than a decade off of it. And specifically, I got into trail running. And oh my gosh, where has trail running been all of my life? It is so freeing. There is nothing else like it. If you haven't tried it yet and you're kind of into running or you really like hiking, just try trail running. It is awesome. And I've also found as I've gotten into trail running over the last 8 months that it is the ideal sport to do if you're a perfectionist. So, reason number one why I love trail running and I think it is the ideal sport for perfectionists is you have to walk. At least where I live, you have to walk. The trails are so steep. There's no way I'm going to be running those. I'm sure there's like the elite of the elite who can run them. The majority of us, we're just hiking up them. And as someone who obviously had major issues even willing themselves to walk through a water stop, being forced to walk has been really, really good. And not only that, but learning to walk during running has taught me that sometimes that's honestly like the most efficient use of your energy. For example, the first race and only trail race that I did this past summer, I have a number lined up for this year, but that was like the one thing I knew I needed to do is I needed to walk the hills, the uphill specifically. And I saw a lot of people struggling trying to run up the hills, and I was able to cruise on by so easily just by taking the time to hike instead of run. And so trail running in some ways through walking has taught me um energy conservation matters. Be smart, don't try and be cool. So reason number two why I think trail running is awesome is that pace literally does not matter at all. Every single trail is going to be different in terms of elevation gain, how technical it is, how rocky it is, if there's going to be scrambling, if there's mud, ice, snow. I'm doing a race on a glacier this summer. The every single element varies so much with trail running that pace just simply goes out the window, and I found that to be incredibly freeing as someone who is always looking down thinking, "Oh man, I gotta keep this exact pace. Oh no, I dropped down 10 seconds a kilometer or this or that." Trail running just made me have to like completely forget all of that and just learn to enjoy the journey. And not only have I had to let go of pace, but I've also learned along the way to run slow. That's something I don't think I really fully grasped until I began trail running. Running for me always felt like something where I was really exhausted at the end of it. And because of trail running, I've learned that I can go slow and just go long and I can go forever. Learning to run slow has honestly been a superpower for me, and I love that trail running has given me that. And reason number three why I love trail running and think it's the ideal sport for perfectionists is that trail running is so much more about the journey than it is about the distance. I don't know about what your experience with running has been, but for me, when I was road running, honestly, I was always just trying to check off the miles. I didn't actually like love the feeling. Like I did enjoy it to some extent because I don't think I could have and gotten to like marathon ready like fitness. But with that being said, trail running is just like a whole nother feeling. I go out and I trail run and I crave it solely because of the time just spent on the trail out in nature, the beauty around me, being able to see just beautiful sights all around. that like makes running incredibly fulfilling in a way that road running just never was. Road running, it really did feel like a chore at times, and trail running, well, sometimes it's still hard to motivate myself to get out there. When I do go out, the time just flies. The difference between running 20K out in the mountains versus 20K out on the road is night and day. And I just want to make this video because I believe trail running has really changed my life over the last 8 months and has been so awesome. And I'd love to see more people get into it, especially if you already are really into hiking or you already road run. Seriously, it's kind of the best. I'd love to hear what your experiences are with trail running, and feel free to follow along if you want to hear more about trail running, hiking, mountaineering, and living in the Alps, perfectionism, all the things.